Our mini press conference this morning, June 7, 2021, here at the Local Water Utilities Administration. To start, sir, may I introduce to you the media panel we have this morning. From the Manila Times, our media friend is a columnist and a veteran writer, Mr. Ben Trietz. Morning, Ben. Next is Mr. Elijah Rosales, a reporter from the Philippine Star.
Palakpakan tayo, para mabuhay tayo.
Yan, happy lang. We also have an online media, the founder and president of the Philippine Investigative Media Alliance Incorporated, Bernard Minyosa. And also with him is Mr. Noli Liwanag, a reporter from Diario Pilipinas. And from the People's Television Network, PTV4, we have a three-man team led by reporter Daniel Manalastas and his crew, Jun Basit and Ace Wanso. So, ready na. Media friends, may I introduce to you our acting administrator to officially brief you with important news report from LWUA. Gentleman, Mr. Jeci Lapus for his opening statement.
Palakpak din!
Yan!
Good morning, my media friends. Well, it has been more than a year since pandemic ay nasa atin, and a lot of problems really occurred. Siyempre, yung protocol of distancing and the water distribution. Even so, we were having problems with a lot of water districts, but as instructed by the President, we have to make sure na hospitals and the evacuations of quarantine areas should have enough water. Yun ang priority na sinabi ng ating Presidente kasama yun sa instructions of the IATF. No? For the first quarter, we're happy to say that we have completed around 22 projects that would give water to about 18,000 households. And this project started sometime in 2020 or late 2019. Because of the pandemic, the delay, but again, we'd like to thank the water districts for coping up with availability of water para sa ating mga kababayan. No? Para sa kaalaman din po natin, we have 532 water districts. You're very familiar with that, right? But do you know, 80% of the water districts, of the 532, do not have 50% connections among them. So you can just imagine, we have a backlog. If we maintain a benchmark of 50%, or right now we're only serving 5 million households, which is say times 5, that makes only 25 million people out of a possible 110 million. So you can imagine the discrepancy between NEA, LWUA, DPWH. Ang NEA, they say they have 95% lighted all barangays. Well, the build, they had, just like what Secretary Mark said, they have a lot of thousands of roads that they've completed. But for water, we are still in the 25%. That means for LWUA. Now, for combined effort of all the water distributors, we can barely reach 46%, which means 46% of 110. We have more than 50% na hindi pa nakukover. So, ang backlog natin is around 500 to 600, almost 600,000 households. which means about 20 billion. Of course, sasabihin na nila, LWUA is a very small agency. It cannot possibly handle 20 billion. But the capacity to handle a project, of course, depends dun sa laki ng agency. As we do different things, we're just like a DPWH. We have the water districts that will implement, not really LWUA. We are here as a regulator and monitoring and checking the payments. Our process here now is downloading of projects. Just like for DPWH, it doesn't occur in the central office. Goes by all the congressional districts. Dito naman sa atin, we do it by water districts. We download the money to the water districts and then we just monitor. So, yung sinasabi po nila na hindi natin kaya, baka kayanin. No? But again, an 18 to 20 billion peso budget for an agency, parang hindi bagay. It should be with a bigger organization like a department. Because hindi lang po ang ating pinag-uusapan ang water connections, but we have to consider also yung climate change. Katulad niya, siguro, you observe, yung bagyong Dante, it is supposed to cross Metro Manila. And sabi ng Pag-asa, mapupuno ang hanggang. Pero, umiwas. So, ang atin is if we are only banking on typhoons to have our water resources recharged, then prayers lang ang kailangan natin. Di ba? Ang atin kasi, the water sector has about 30 different agencies na iba-iba. One is the watershed na kailangan natin, kailangan yung mga puno, tumubo, they need water. Then we have the water impounding. Water impounding that will recharge the aquifer. Remember, 90% of our water sources, so water districts, are through deep wells. So a deep well can be as deep as from 120 to 200 meters. Now, for water to go down to that level, it will take 10 years. So without any impounding dams, the recharging of the aquifer is deep. Diba? We have only how many dams, and they're not enough. And then we have the what you call the floods. Every time we have typhoons, we have flooding, and the flood is always controlled back to the sea. We never make use of the flood as a source of water for household or irrigation. If you can see, the flood control of DPWH is just diverting. Slope protection, to protect the barangays, to protect the towns, but it goes back to the sea. If you have read some months ago, China has diverted 49% of the Mekong River into China. And parang divested, di ba? Yung Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam, they lost 50% of their water. And dito tayo nag-import, di ba? So what happens now in the near future? It will be China who will be the exporter. Because yung Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, Thailand, wala na silang enough water. Ngayon, they have, that did they had, but since China started to divert the water by creating so many dams, and then the water enters to China, hindi mo na yung pwede galawin. It is now theirs to use. So yan ang ating mga malaking problema. It is not like any other infrastructure. When you try to construct a road or do a bridge, after 1 year, pwede na daanan. So, pakikinabangan ng tao. Pero, as whatever infrastructure that we do, 25 years from now pa yan magpakinabangan ng tao. Not us, not immediately us. Yung iba nga sinasabi nila, it is adding another bureaucracy if there is a creation of another department. Pero this is practically streamlining of the 30 agencies that have something to do with water. So it is a unification of water. Then there is water governance, then you can pinpoint to a single body who is in charge. Tingnan niyo po ngayon, magsa-summer na, patatawag na yung NWRB, papatawag yung MWSS, papatawag ang LWUA, papatawag ang River Basin, lahat na lang. There are, if you can see those who are attendees sa Senate and Congress, there are about 30. So, pag committee hearing, just by stating your name, takes already 1 hour with all the agencies. No? So, sana, this is one thing that I have talked about with the Speaker, Lord Alan, and he agrees that water is basic and it can be considered as part of the menu in Congress for the congressmen na pwede silang magtulong sa kanilang individual water districts. Kasi kami hindi naman namin makikita lahat yan. As you can see, we have practically begged, pero lang still beg and still begging. But since parang orphans kami, walang kaming abogado, you know, nobody can vouch for us in the budget, so we're having a hard time. We do not have a regular budget. Actually, we do not have a budget for our operation and maintenance. What we earn is what we spend. We do not get our salaries from the national government. We get it from the loans, from the interest payments of the water district. That's why meron kaming mga ganyan na pautang. Yung principal is dead. No? Paikutin namin yan. Pero yung interest, yun ang gagamitin namin. Kaya hindi namin pwede ibigay as a whole subsidy kasi hindi rin kami mag-survive. Buti pa yung mga may kalsada, buo. No? DPWA, meron silang O&M, tapos meron pa silang road, may project, wala silang binabayar ang utang. Dito may binabayar ang utang. Sabi ko nga, kahit na kay Secretary Absano, sabi ko, ito naman parang ODA project eh. They will pay you in 20 years. Ang roads wala namang payment yan eh. It is a perspective that the area will grow, the economy will benefit, the farmers will have. Pero yung water is daily use of people. Diba? And it can cost lives. Well, number two, we have to think also, how much does the DOH spend on waterborne diseases? Walang ano yan, ha? Because direct correlation yan, water and waterborne diseases. Anong ano yan? Yung cholera, yung diarrhea, di ba? Yung amoebiasis, yun. All the sorts of diseases emanating from water. So, napakarami niyan. Kami naman ay we're hopeful na baka naman mapagbigyan na tayo ng pansin na hindi naman para sa atin ito, but this for the children of the future. This is for survival. This is actually the priority for survival is water. If anybody can contest that, I would say your answer will be air. After air, you cannot answer anymore other than water. Because air, few minutes you die. Water, 3 days you die. Without food, 30 days. Without light, you can live forever. So, it is really the basic. Nagkataon lang na LWUA was created under the Maritime PD 198 in 1973. Can you imagine? That's about 47 years ago. And we're still in the 25% servicing to our people. It is just sad to know. And well, up to now, we have extended debt relief to most of our water districts. Yung repayment nila ng loans will be given a moratorium so they can recoup the losses during the ECQ and ECQ. But now they're beginning to be alive again because water is really a necessity and the people must pay. Otherwise, it will be worse if the water district will close. So, if there's no water, the more problems that they will have. Just look at maybe who is familiar with the tubig, Zambales. They didn't have water for I think more than a month, and Congresswoman Mitos Magsaysay is the one catering to the people. She is now in private, but because she was formerly a congresswoman, she still caters to the constituency. So, ngayon, if you can, I always look at the weather, and it's always high. So with the high temperature, evaporation is really well, something to consider. I was talking to Executive Director Bill David. I told him, look at the weather. But he said, Pag-asa said it's going to rain. I told him, okay. And he said, Dante is going to pass through Metro Manila, it will fill up hanggang. Then I called him up again, where's your rain? And he said, I don't know. The weather view, the Pag-asa said that it's going to pass through Manila, it will have many, will bring many rains, many water like that. So we cannot depend mainly on the rain being on top of the dam. We have to make do with our want to survive. We have to do the water impounding, we have to do the flood control management for water, for household use and agriculture, and we have to conserve water right now. And what is really alarming is out of the 532, we have 420 with less than 50% coverage. And we cannot do more because we don't have the money. So our people will have to be contented with sharing the water, or some of them do their own deep well, which maybe is very shallow and they don't have any safety. There is no assurance that whatever they get is safe. They just drink it. So that's what worries us. And it will be the same that that everybody has to worry about. Because it will not just be happening here, it will be happening nationwide. Well, so after that brief, I guess you will have to pour in some questions, which of them are really just repetitions of our yearly concerns, because the movement on water improvement is very slow. That's why your question last year could be your same question this year, because maybe your house is still not connected with water. Those people, of course, Maynila and Manila Water, they're doing their best. But trying to give water to 2.5 million households. That is not an easy job. And if you break it into total, 1.2 million each, I don't know how they can do it. That's why we have a lot of problems with our water distribution. Diba? So let's give you some answers to some of your questions.
Yes, thank you, Administrator Jeci Lapus, for that report. Sir, jack-and po na sila kanina. The first to throw the questions, Mr. Beltritz of Manila Times.
Yeah. You have to give me a thing. I threw my back out over the weekend, so I'm a little gimpy. Okay, well, I think my first question is, you have basically the rest of this year, and then you're going to be getting into the months before the election, so, activity's going to slow down first part of next year. So what's LWUA's priority for the rest of this year? What's your biggest concern and the biggest thing you'd like to accomplish? That's my first question. And then the second question is the same thing I asked you the last time I was here, is what is the status of the Department of Water bill?
Okay. Yes. It's a very hard question to answer because election is next year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this year we were able to have a budget for our what you call water treatment facilities, mobile, and water trucks. If you would observe, every time there is typhoon, there's flooding, water is missing. We don't know where to get water. Well, this time I was able to get a few millions, and I will have say 5 portable water treatment facility and about 5 water trucks. They go in tandem because when you go to a river, to a flooding area, you get the water, you have to put in the water tank for distribution. This is what we did in Catanduanes. Remember, when it was hit by Ulysses, there was no water. So we sent our portable water treatment facility, which is truck mounted, 3 days to be in the site. And then they stay there for less than a month. We gave water to about 3,000 households daily. That is just for consumption. It is not for taking a bath or whatever. So now, I again talked to Speaker Velasco and Secretary Abisado. My goal for next year is to increase the number of water treatment facilities and water trucks, which will be stationed nationwide. So our basis is historical, based on the NDRMC reports, where flooding is usually experienced because they will have no water if there's flood. That's why we will be stationing the water treatment facilities, including the trucks, very near those areas, so they can easily support the people in their water needs. Now, we were assured that we will be given some funds for that, so I'm optimistic that we will be able to distribute more. So we will have now proactive measures during plans. As I said, should it be done by NDRMC? Not LWUA, but then again, we have the water districts and they don't have one. So we just have to support the water district to support. We had initially discussed a MOA between LWUA and DSWD on the need for water, safe water during calamities. So the DSWD will buy water from LWUA for the evacuation centers because that's why we are positioning many of our equipment in historically those that are affected. So, mas mabilis yung aming pag-support. Now, the Department of Water, it has passed Congress appropriation. It is now due for plenary. But again, they have to get what do you call that, signal from the Senate. The Senate thinks it is another bureaucracy. It is contrary to our idea that it is streamlining. Sabi nila, it is another layer of bureaucracy. You're creating another department and more funds. But our intention during the congressional hearing was each department that will be subsumed by the department or each agency will bring on its own budget because everybody is on budget. Like for example, NIA, MWSS, LLDA, they have their own budgets, so it doesn't increase. River Basin, the watershed, LWUA, we have our own budget. And then the flood control and soil management and solid tubig, they have all their budget. So they're really only personnel that will be new because of organizational setup. There will be an increase in the personnel, but there will also be a decrease due to redundancy of the work. Right? So we're still hoping, but since, as you said, the election is just around the corner and budget is coming in September, I think it's I don't know if it's possible, but during this time they will just be working on the budget for next year for the election. It is well, there might be another administration. Maybe we can push for it again. Hopefully, if everybody's still around, it's important. Thank you.
Sir, pwede mag-follow up na lang din doon.
Yes.
Yung sa Department of Water, nakausap niyo na ba si Speaker Velasco about dun sa bill?
Yes.
Okay. Pwede niyo share lang, sir, kung ano po yun?
Well, sabi nga ni Speaker Velasco, okay na yan because the Department of Water was started by the then Speaker GMA, her last year in the Congress after being voted as Speaker. Actually, kami ni Speaker GMA, nag-usap yung Department of Water because she was the one who authored or approved the Water Code, Clean Water Act, which is really part of practically everything there is in the Department of Water. Unfortunately, yung Clean Water Act, wala pa rin eh. It's fragmented. Walang single body. So, yun ang naging problema. It has passed through the appropriation with a budget of 2 billion, which will be used primarily baka dun sa mga overlapping functions and then hiring of new dun sa other functions that cannot be given to the absorbed agencies.
Pero sir, sa Senate, wala pang kilo sa Senate yung Department of Water, no?
Well, the Senator Grace Poe has asked for our position paper in 2019 and she asked for it again into 2021. And since State of the Nation is just around the corner and 30 days after the State of the Nation, the budget will be submitted. So they have to fast track the budget for next year, and then there is a campaign period starting February next year for the national. I don't know where the water will go.
What are the chances of convincing the president that he should bring it up in his sauna?
Well,
Because that would get the Senate to move, wouldn't it?
Yes, we are just hoping that the president will write the Senate as making it a priority bill. so it becomes urgent. Usually, if the president endorses a bill and as urgent, it takes only a few weeks. It's only a few weeks.
Sir, just for the record, are you encouraging or urging the both houses of Congress to act on the pending bill tungkol sa water, Department of Water?
For Congress, there is no problem. I had lunch with Speaker Velasco and he said, for me, we have no problem. Your problem is the Senate.
Yun.
Because they think it's another layer of bureaucracy. While we think it is more of streamlining 30 agencies into one. It is not another department and with all the existing 30 existing. So it is collapsing and unifying water governance.
Sir, ano yung matutulong, sir? Gaano po ka-importante na maipasa po yung Department of Water?
Alam nyo, ganito po yun eh. Ang Department of Water will be the think tank for the future. This will be a department na meron na siyang seat. Just like if you are in the King Arthur's court, you have a seat. You are a knight. If you are not a knight, you have no voice. You can be dependent on the decision of everybody. So the department creates identity for water because it's basic. And well, hopefully, although the president has said the Department of Water already in 2019, that's why about more than 60 congressmen have filed the bills. Some of them just refining that of GMA, some of them are doing their own, but at least 60. That's why we consolidated it. It was Congressman Joey Salceda who was in charge of consolidating it. It passed naman. That's why even in the appropriation, it passed the 2 billion initial money was approved. And we have a position paper from the DOF and the DBM. They do not object. They do not object to the creation because they feel it is really a necessity. And just adding to an information, I talked to some of my colleagues in Congress. I was there in 2007. And they were all surprised. I told one congressman, do you know that your water district in this area serves only 5% of your population? Some of them 8, some of them 12. Hindi, sabi niya sa akin, ganyan ba yan? Sabi ko, ba't naman hindi mo tinitin? Kaya nagkakabibiasis yung mga tao ko sa inyo. Sabi ko, well, I have to admit, during even our time, we never thought of water as basic. We always thought that when it rains, it pours. But those were the days. Ngayon, polluted na. Those during our time, you can go to your just they call it pit chill, right there, and you can drink. It's very, very good. But now you cannot do that anymore. You have stomach ache for whatever. Right? And then you still have to contend with the septic, the sanitation, and everything. It is all incorporated with water. So yun lang, boss. It is what you call badly needed because siguro ikaw, mga anak mo na lang ang magiginapang dyan because 20 years from now, kami, grandchildren already because number one, how long will you will be able to construct impounding dams nationwide? How long will it take you to have rain catchment for the plant and make use of it for irrigation and what and how long? How much budget do you need? Maybe you can complete everything in 10 years and then after that, what? Then after that, initially that's 10 years and then you have to rethink again how to distribute. Just like Cagayan River. Cagayan River passes through 120 towns. And not a single town is able to divert that flood into something for irrigation or for household use. That's just one river. How many major rivers do we have in the Philippines? I think we have about 12. In Iloilo, there's Haraul. But then they're still building the dam. Can you imagine how long will it take you to build the dam? Then you have to have a series of dams so you can control the flooding. Yeah? You have to put a stop in every town para to divert. And then it will lessen downstream, it will lessen the flooding. So it takes a lot of, even if it is approved now, it will take about 6 months to regroup. And then another 6 months to 1 year for the feasibility studies. Because you have to do, it's not that you have to look where the mountains are, where are the rains coming from. And then you have to negotiate for the impounding, and then for the flooding, you have to divert the floods instead of the usual rivers that go back to the sea. You have to cut and then put them into the towns. Very hard. It is a very tedious work.
Sir, magbabagyo na. Ito na yung bagyo season. Paano niyo po nakikita yung kahalagahan po ng Department of Water sa pag-encounter po sa mga ganitong klaseng bagyo?
Kung nakita ninyo the Cagayan River, anong sabi ni Governor, quoting him, Governor Rodito Albano? There should be a Department of Water so they can control the floods. Because when you unify the authority on water, then the governance is parang primarily dekahuna. They even included the dam management. Then the power, sabi ko, going beyond the going beyond. But then again, if it is a monitoring, all they have to do is just declare a policy on the. But they also have a problem. Like before, what if the storm not pushing through the same road? Then they will have to discharge a lot of water. What happens now? It is a what you call dam if you do, dam if you don't. It's a dam. Right? Kami nadadaan din ng bagyo. Magbawas ka. Just like Dante, the divert, or what happens now kung nagbawas ka ng tubig. Then, tag-araw, walang tubig. Gagalit ang farmers. Diba? Sabi na, bakit ka naglabas? Eh, sabi ng Pag-asa Punta niwala ka sa Pag-asa. Kapag hindi ka naman naniwala, sabi nila, bakit hindi mo ka maniwala? Sinabi na nga. Wala akong puntahan. Because it's basic. This is more on the dams. Sa amin naman, 90% coming from the deep well. Now, kung wala naman tayong water impounding, sino ang magre-recharge to sa deep wells that we're using? Di ba? Kasi may kanya-kanyang quantity lang yan sa baba. So, it's really, kung isipin mo, this is not like electricity. Kung tayo ka ng poste, you can run the wires. But, for water, you have to dig to look for water, and you have to use georesistivity to determine where the water will be and how deep and the quantity. So it is not just, di ba? Unlike electricity, kukuha ka from one dam, kukunin mo, NGCP, kuryente lang, finished. That's why it's easy to light all the barangays. But for water, individual. Oh, even in the Yolanda, some of them do not have water because the areas where they're located, there's no water.
Sir, last na lang from me.
Yes.
Sir, for the record, hinihikayat niyo po ba si President Duterte na i-urge yung Congress this SONA?
Well, the President is almighty. What the President wants, Congress and Senate will have to agree. Just certify it as urgent.
yun ang panawagan nyo, ma-certify as urgent?
Kung yun, para mabilis sana, no? But sabi nga ni Ben, election year. So, kung hindi niya sabihin ngayon, we'll have to wait for another year for the next
Admin.
president to declare if they feel like declaring it. So, this is the last chance.
But still hopeful pa kayo, sir.
Well, we're still hopeful, of course. Hindi man tayo pwedeng mag-surrender because voter is really a basic for everybody. And, tinan nyo, there's a basic comparison. 1 cubic meter of water is 1,000 liters. If we can provide you potable water at 20 pesos per cubic meter, that is 20 pesos over 1,000. That's 0.002 per liter. How much is 1 liter sa labas? 20 pesos. So you have 20,000, if you have 1,000 of 20 pesos, that's 20,000. Equivalent to 1 cubic meter. Diba? Simple. Kung ayuda lang ang gusto mo, bigyan mo ng safe water yan, they can save on their mineral water. Tama? 1 cubic meter is 20 pesos. 1 liter is 20 pesos. But this 1 cubic meter is 1,000 liters. Now, if you buy 1,020 pesos, that's 20,000 compared to your 20 pesos.
Sir, gusto lang sana namin hingan kayo ng paglilinaw kasi meron po mga lumulutang na issue ngayon na i-dissolve daw po ang LWUA. Kanino po galing yon at
Alin daw?
i-dissolve ang LWUA dahil papalitan ng Department of Water? Hindi po ba nakarating sa inyong
Wala
impormasyon?
akong di-dissolve.
I-dissolve.
Ibang salay-sayin yun. Mahirap sabihin ngayon muna, secret. Pero hindi yan remove. It could be done. But not to the expense of people. Yan, pwede private yan.
Private.
Pwede natin discuss privately. But hindi pwede dito dahil baka i-news mo yan, di ba? Maglayasan ng luwa rito.
Okay, follow up sir. Matagal na rin po kasi ako nagko-cover sa LWUA. And then, nararamdaman namin na hirap talaga ang LWUA sa budget. Kayo po familiar sa inyo kung magkano dapat. Sa inyo palagay sir, magkano po talaga dapat ang ilalagay as budget para po sa Local Water Utility Administration?
Alam niyo po, ganito yan. Noong 2019, ang World Bank ang sabi, in 5 years, LWUA needs about 93 billion. Up to 2022. Okay. Hindi ko alam saan ako ng World Bank yan. Pero kami ngayon, nung in-assess namin yung mga water district, kasi nga, 80% are below 50% connection. So, ang akin lang ay from 30%, gagawin ko lang 40%. Yung karamihan, 20 billion na. Hanggang 40% pa lang. That could be my tier 1. Now, tier 2 could be from 40 to 50. So, papasok na ngayon yung less than 30, magiging 40. On the following year, pati yung 40 kasama na going to 50. Plus yung galing ng 30. So, it is incremental increase every year. Hindi ko na kaya isulat yung zero eh. Again, pag sinabi mo naman sa Congress yan, sasabihin nila, ito na lang ang gobyerno. Diba? Baka taasan natin ng education, taasan natin ng DPWH, because ang backlog natin talaga is mahaba. At saka kami naman, ang sinasabi lang namin, para sa tao ng ano ito, it's life. If you don't have water, you can probably die. But without roads and electricity, you can possibly live. Diba? Meron bang namatay sa walang tulay? Nalunod, no? Pero in 3 days, you're dead without water.
Sir, let me ask about that. Malapit na yung submission ng National Expenditure Program sa sa zona ng Pangulo. Nag-propose na po ba kayo ng budget?
Meron na ako nag-propose na ako ng budget. Actually, sabi ko nga sa iyo, ang sabi sa akin, wala silang basis. Napakasakit, no? Walang basis based on law to give me funds. So,
Sir, international organization, meron na po bang pumasok din sa Pilipinas para tulungan ng local workers?
ang alin, ang international?
Organization.
Tapusin ko lang to.
Sir, magkano yung pre-propose?
Well, ang pinropose ko kasi para sa quick response for during calamity, nag-propose ako 200 million. Ito yung hindi na sa water district ito. Ito na para sa to help our countrymen pagka disaster para hindi na naghahanapan. Diba, usually pagka nagkaroon ng baha, hahanapin nila, saan ang tubig, saan ang tubig, and then we'll buy all the bottled waters. Diba? Samantalang dito, it will cost us only how much? So marami pa. Yung sa Catanduanes, we were serving about siguro 90,000 liters a day. O kung drinking lang sila, ilang liters lang ang mainom ng isang bahay. Diba? So, this is just for survival, hindi ito pang pag-iguin everything. About 200 million, sabi ko kung pwede dagdagan, ito naman a quick response para sa lahat, hindi naman ito just for a single water district. Diba? Kailangan natin to. Matagal na, nung Catanduanes, nakausap namin ng DOH, meron doon silang pondo, ganun, pinagawa kami ng estimate, walang tumabas ang NDRRMC, ganun din. Sabi ko, parati na lang tayong reactive, then why not be proactive? That station na natin dyan, mga bawa, for Bicol area, maglalagay ako sa Legazpi. So, Legazpi Center yan. And Cam Sur, Cam Norte, Catanduanes, di ba? Yun na yan. Dito sa Norte, pwede akong maglagay sa Tuguegarao, pwede pumunta ng Isabela, Cagayan, gano'n. Marami tayong paglalagyan na nakita na natin eh. So, yan stationary, pagka walang problema, at least nandun ng makina, pwede gamitin ng water district, maintenance and everything, para lang hindi siya masira. But sana hindi magamit. Kasi pagka hindi nagamit yan, ibig sabihin, wala tayong calamity. Di ba? Magkano lang naman yan compared to kakastusin natin pag may calamity. Kung may calamity, billion kagad yan. Ito. Baka 5 million, 10 million lang yan. Naka-standby yan, napakikinabangan naman anytime. Yung tanong mo, boss, kausap namin ang... Pero alam mo ba, pagka foreign aid, it takes minimum of 2 years. So, kung kayo ngayon ka mag-apply at naila-approban, in 2 years saka lang nila gagawin. Yan ang mahirap. Although, kausap ko yung K-Water, magbibigay sila ng tulong sa isang water district. Sabi nila, exceptional daw kasi parang first nilang gagawin. So baka next year daw mag-umpisa. Yun. Pero pirma kami ulit for feasibility study. 2 years bago nila gawin. Paano pa yung funding? Diba?
Ganun katagal, sir?
Pagka ODA, ganyan katagal talaga. Past that foreign funding, it takes 2 to 3 years. O, kaya nga, iniisip ko, baka mag-loan na lang ako sa DBP para mabilis. Diba?
Sir, follow-up lang. Nabanggit niyo kanina for the first quarter, you completed 18 projects that covered 18,000 households. Pero meron pa kayong mga project na sinabi ninyo na delayed due to the pandemic, yung mga restriction. Ilang projects kayo nasa, yung ongoing ngayon, tapos tinatapos ng
Meron tayong ngayon, hindi naman karamihan yung mga, kasi ang naipalabas namin na pera from 2019 hanggang ngayon is 2 billion. Yun, lahat ng savings ng luwa. Wala nang pera ngayon ng luwa, sagad na. Binalabas ko na lahat. So, yun, meron pa tayong mga siguro mga 50 projects pa na ongoing na maliliit. That could run up to about another 1.5, no? Pagkatapos meron tayong ADB loan,
Sir, 1.5 million.
mga 1.5 billion. Yun ang balance of the 2 billion, no, yung ongoing. Pagkatapos meron tayong ADB loan of about 2.6 billion, catering to only 12 big water districts. Yun ang ano ng ADB, ayaw na yung maliliit kasi unang-unang maliliit, capacity to pay.
Yeah.
So kukunin nila yung malalaki, parang easy to, di ba? Which is contrary naman to ating iniisip, kailangan palakihin natin yung maliit para naman maging self-reliant. Pero yung kanila naman, because it's interest-based.
That's a loan, correct? That's not
Yeah,
that's
tsaka
not a grant.
Easy to talk to, a few will get 2.5 million against 300 who gets 30 million, di ba? So, yun ang ano natin, ongoing na yung one or two of them, and kung malalaki ito this is Katipunan, this is Tubigaraw, this is Zamboanga.
I don't understand more.
But do you know, yung mga big cities sa south ang walang tubig? Start with Zamboanga, Cagayan de Oro, Iloilo, Bacolod, malalaki yan. Even Davao, week mo lang na, but meron silang ginagawa ngayon na bulk supply coming from the watershed. Because they anticipated already. Yun ang sinasabi ko, boss. But how long pa, di ba? Ang Davao na-preserve ni PRRD yung watershed. So now it's time to harvest. Kukulangin ang tubig ng Davao because they're all in deep wells. They're now using the Tamugan River na with avoidees. So, sila rin naisip nila pero kailan ba it takes them? Siguro mag-materialize yan, 2-3 years, kailan nag-upisa na 2-3 years back, so it takes a minimum of 5 years. Isa lang yun. What nation, paano yan, di ba?
Sir, last question on my end. Yung natitira na yung 50 projects, the remaining 50 projects in the pipeline, covering amounting to about 1.5 billion pesos, ilang household yung masa-serve nito in your estimates?
Siguro around 50,000 household.
50,000 households.
Oo, around 50,000 household. Kasi ang ano natin dito, can you imagine? You have 25, sabihin natin 20 million household with 5 people per household. That means about 100 million. So kung 22,000 household ka, that is 110. So nasa 5 pa lang kami. So a long way to go. Diba? Target nga namin at least 50% more. It will cost us already hundreds of billions.
Sir, doon po sa mga umuutang sa LWA na mga water district, magkano po yung maximum at minimum na pwede nilang yung ibigay sa kanila?
Depende po, boss. Kasi may repayment yan, It is just like a loan. So it should be viable na hindi naman sa ang aming tingin dito is 27,000 per connection. Yun ang aming allowed na sa budgetary.
How much the interest?
So halimbawa, meron kang 1,000, o edi multiply mo 1,000 times 27,000. Mga 27 million yan.
And then pagka hindi po sila nakatupad doon sa duration ng full payment, meron bang additional
20
charges?
years,
20 years.
4%.
Pagka lumagpas, hindi nila matupad yung duration. Magkano po yung another, meron bang another?
Hindi, usually yan, pag sinabi natin 20 years to pay, ang recovery nila is 15. Kanya nga tayo, may regulatory function para mamomonitor natin yung pangako nila versus yung payment.
Lahat naman po nakatupad.
Ngayong pandemic, marami ang nag-request ng debt relief kasi nasa Bayanihan Act din yan, di ba? Yung payment and everything. Yun. So, yung iba ngayon parang nakaka-recuperate after 1 year na hindi sila pinapayaran. Pero yung iba naman, nagbabayad pa rin. Ang collection efficiency nila, bumagsak from 95 yata, bumagsak ng about 70 nung peak nung 70 pa rin ng peak ng pandemic. But kung 70 lang yan, pang eksakto lang nilang MOE. No? May problema pa sila sa pera.
Doon po sa mga consumers, sir, na mayroong mga complaint doon sa mga water district katulad dito, kulay iced tea, yung mga tubig nila, hindi ko na i-mention, may-ari ay isang senador.
Mination mo na nga eh. Hindi raw niya mination pero may-ari siya senador.
Opo. Sir, ano po yung mga sanctions na ipagkakalob ninyo doon sa mga water district na yan?
Alam niyo ganito yan. Buti na banggit yan. No?
Opo.
Meron na boundary ang aming regulatory powers sa mga naka-joint venture. Bakit kamo? Kung babasihan po ninyo ang joint venture definition, it is a pooling of resources. Pooling. Sabihin, dalawa kayo, pagsamahin ng pera ninyo, joint venture. Tama po, di ba? Then for a specific goal, kailangan meron kayong isang project na ninanais gawin. Third, profit sharing. Okay. Pagkatapos po yan, when everything is done, kailangan gagawa kayo ng isang business plan para mailagay doon yung plano ninyo in 5 years, in 10 years, whatever. Kasi nag-propose ka na improve mo yung water district, di ba? So, ang sabi po namin, kasi nagkakaproblema na kami dyan, hindi namin mapasok. Ang sabi namin, ano ang gagawin namin sa naka-joint venture? Eh, sa tingin namin, kami pa ang regulator. Ang sabi po ng NEDA, o sige, sabi niya, hindi kayo pwede pre. Sabihin, yung evaluation prior to approval, hindi kayo pwede dyan. Well, hindi ko alam bakit hindi kayo kasali. Ano po? But, motu proprio, after, you may audit and evaluate. Sabi po ng yan, ng NEDA. Sinulatan namin yung mga naka-JV. Sumagot ang OGCC, hindi daw kami kasali. Hindi daw kami pwede maghanap. Kanya nagkakaproblema kami. Yung proposal nila, kumbaga po nagpagawa ka ng bahay, hindi mo bibigyan ng plano, ano inspeksyonin ko? So hindi namin ngayon matansya. Halimbawa, sinasabi mo, may kulay yan, pero doon sa kanilang business plan, makikita natin ano ang mga improvements na kailangan nilang gawin na pinangako sa water district. Yan, mariregulate namin, mababantayan namin. Kung hindi sila magsasubmit, ano babantayan namin? O kamukha sa Subic, yun din ang sinasabi mo may-ari. O, hindi lang, tsaka kape. O, for one or 2 months. O, paano yan? Di ba? Hindi may makapasok. O, paano namin sila masasabihin? Halimbawa, nag-joint venture ka, paano ko sasabihin? O, Mr. Ben, after 1 month, ito dapat ang ginagawa mo na, ba't hindi pa ginagawa? O bakit 6 months na, hindi pa ginagawa? Wala kami. Blind kami, blind.
Hindi po ba compulsory? Obligado silang mag-submit?
Dapat po kailangan mag-submit, pero yung OGCC, sabi, hindi daw. Yan, OGCC.
Ito lang.
Paano ka na magagawa? Hindi mo alam kung regulatory namin sila o regulatory sila doon. Di ba? So, pero nung sumulat ulit ang NEDA, tinanong ko, ang sabi ng OGCC, sabi ko, na-misread daw namin yung inyong pahayag na kami, motu proprio, pwede. Na-misread namin yun, na hindi naman dapat yun ang isip namin. So sinaratan ko po yung NEDA, hindi siya sumagot. Finalawa ko yung NEDA, hindi sumagot. No? Pero nung June 1, sumulat na naman siya sa isang water district. Nandun na naman yung amin na nakalagay na as regulator, pwede kami. Ulit. So susulatan ko naman ng OGCC, reconsider na rin posisyon nila na mali kami. Na tama kami. So huwag na niyang pigilan na mag-submit ng business plans yung mga naka-joint venture. Kasi hindi mo nga naman alam paano po yun. Magbibigay siya, eto pagagawa ko dapat yan, ganyan. Hindi mo alam kung ano pagagawa niya. Hindi mo nga alam kung naglagay ng pera. O masakit, hindi naglagay ng pera. Pero kinuwalatang ang kita.
So medyo malinaw sir na merong hindi pagkakaintindihan, pagkakaunawaan, GCC, LWUA, at saka yung mga yung mga
Kami yun, naunawa namin.
Oh.
Sila lang siguro hindi
Wala ba kayong quorum?
Kasi pinipilit interpret ng OGCC ang NEDA guideline. Bakit hindi yung author ang tanongin mo? Bakit hindi OGCC sumagot? Bakit sila nag-interpret? Sinabi ng author, pwede si Mr. Ben. Sasabihin nito, hindi pwede yan. Hindi ka naman author Ang author sinabi na pwede. Kahit po sa Congress, pagka may problema ganyan, binabalikan yung committee hearing, what is the intent of the bill? So ang intent ba ng NEDA rito, tatanggalin ng LWUA? Hindi naman niya sinabi tatanggalin ng LWUA O baka tinatanggal ng OGCC? Diba? So, anyway, malapit na ma-resolve yan. Nagkakagulo na kami. Magandang topic ang tubig. Maghapon tayo, hindi matatapos kasi wala talagang tubig. Sabi ko nga, kay Speaker, water is legacy. It can be a big campaign project. Diba? May isa ng bayan probinsya ang pinanalo niya tubig. Pinangako niya yung buong probinsya na imbes na burak ang lalabas sa kanilang mga gripo, potable water, nanalo. Ganun ang pagkamisya ng tao, hindi lang naman abot ang hinahanap, kailangan serbisyo. Ang sabi nga nila, ang tubig ay serbisyo. Diba? At hindi negosyo. Pag ang tubig, ang basic, ginawa mo profit-oriented, patay na. Diba? Kaya nga sabi ko noon, tama lang itong LWUA, pwedeng malugi ang LWUA dahil yung servisyo naman niya para sa tao. Pero ang private, never siya pwede malugi. Pwede? Maghanap tayo ng mga water districts. Maraming nagsasabi na ang San Jose del Monte prior to joint venture was making around less than 200 million a year. Ngayon, barely making 2 million. Nangyari. Hindi namin alam. Kanya gusto namin i-check. Kung pag pinayagan kami, malalaman na namin kung bakit. Kasi mukhang nawawala boss yung yung definition of pooling. Diba? Pooling. Baka naging F yung P. Diba? Naging fooling. Kanya napakasakit. Ang kawawa lang yung mga tao. Ganon din ang kabanatuan. 77 million nakita niya 2018. Ngayon negative. Paano kagano? Pwede ba yung magkagano? Kung meron kang apartment, limang apartment, kumikita ka, nagpatayo ka ng dalawa, lugi na. Paano nga yun? Di ba? So, yun po ang masaklap dito sa atin dahil nakikita natin kung ano yung nararanasan ng mga kababayan natin. Kahit sa probinsya ko, pagka minsan, ang dami din reklamo. Minsan, pati sa bahay ko, ganun lumalabas. Mabuti na lang, nakaka-complain ako. Pero, basic, hindi naman lahat. Kung medyo minor na kulay lang, after a few minutes, kung hindi mo ginagamit ang bahay mo parati, mawawala. Pero kung araw-araw mo ginagamit, tapos big umaga, ganun, may problema yun. Pakitingnan lang ninyo, baka naman yung connection nyo sa bahay ang may problema o yung sa provider. Kasi Kasi dalawang bagay yan. Kung ang tubo mo, 25 years na, pwede mag-deteriorate na yun. Pwede magdala ng mga kalawang, dumi sa gripo. Pero kung bago lang ang bahay mo, pagkatapos gano'n ang lumalabas, kasalanan ng provider. Ang masakit pa sa atin, hindi nga po namin malaman kung anong gagawin namin. Paano kung nag-provide sila ng tubig na ganyan at umikot ang metro? Babayaran ba yan? Diba? Eh, yung iba nga, walang tubig, hangin lang, binabayaran pa, di ba? Marami. So, napakasaklap na tubig. Ano pa? O baka si Janet ang magtatanong?
Okay na.
So, okay na kayo. Can we have one round of question na lang para talagang hitik na hitik tayo sa impormasyon?
Okay na po.
Okay ka na?
Okay na.
Statement kung gaano kahalaga
Sir,
yun.
sinong pwedeng mag-investigate doon sa nangyaring katulad doon sa nalugi? O ba or LU?
Actually po, ang COA may mga findings na yan. But then, ang COA, hanggang reminder lang. So, kami, ang sabi ko, if I get the proper documents, I can file cases against. Pero until such time na mabigyan ako ng authority to get the data that I need, hindi ako makagalaw. Pero nakahanda na kami.
Okay,
Sir,
Ben?
last statement po.
Last.
Kung gaano kahalaga na magkaroon ng Department of Water.
Well, ang Department of Water po, unang-una, kahit na mag-research tayo, isa lang siguro tayo sa pinakakonting bansa na walang Ministry of Water, Department of Water. At usually, ang water ay run by the government. Hindi kasi private. Kasi national interest yan, di ba? Pag binigay mo sa foreigner yan, baka mamaya lagyan niya ng kung ano yan, patay-patay tayo lahat. Mabuti kung gobyerno ang gumagawa, ang government can incur losses. Pwede malugi gobyerno para sa tao. Di ba? So, yan po ay napakahalaga. This is a survival of the future generations. Tayo, hindi natin alam kung kamukha nga ng kaliwa, halaw, yung sa Davao, mga 5 years na yan, wala pang nangyari. So, how long? Di ba? So, yun, ilang pa lang yan. Kung nationwide ang kulang natin. Tapos, siguro importante, mga boss, ang increase ng development sa NCR is bigger than the increase of water source. Ang carrying capacity ng mga bayan, ng mga syudad, hindi nila kumbaga nilalagyan ng boundary. Kahit konting lupa, pinapatayo ng pinapatayuan. Pag mayroong ganun unang-una trabahador, pangalawa, magkakaroon ng tenants. Tubig na naman ang kailangan mo. Ang sabi nila, the increase is 20,000 household per year. Pero anong source natin? Ang Laguna Lake, hindi naman dadating na ganyan, di ba? That's the problem. Kanya kailangan mag-streamline na rin ng NCR. Siguro spread. Sangli, New Park City, di ba? Because the Philippines is not Metro Manila. Di ba? Why can't we distribute developments, north and south? Di ba? At least, pag lumipat ka doon, wala ka ng problema sa tubig dito. Sila maghahanap ng tubig doon. Baka pag ginawa natin yun, so sobra na ang tubig na angga. Hindi ka na kailangan ng maghanap ng kaliwa, ng wawa, di ba? Because there are too many people here already. Tapos, magre-reclaim ka na naman sa Manila Bay, dadagdagan mo yung ilang 1,000 hectares ang Manila. So, ilang bahay na naman yun, ilang condominium, ilang casino na naman, di ba? So, tubig na naman ang kailangan na. So, we have to, although sila kaya nila yan because of desalination, malapit na sila sa Manila Bay. But it will be a little bit costlier. Times 3, times 4 of the regular. kung 20 pesos tayo per cubic, baka maging 80 pesos per cubic. But then again, kahit na
You
80,
don't have the energy for it. We already have electricity shortages. How are you going to power desalination?
generator, environmental. Well, you know, as we go along, there's so many problems. Sasabihin nila, with water, there could be electricity, hydro. That's why if you do some water impounding, correspondingly, you can have electricity, even just by floating the solar. No? Pero if you do not develop water impounding, when will you get electricity? You have to do nuclear, or you have to do what? Coal again, build up environmental. While water, it's natural. Well, they're partners, water and electricity. They're good. Well, your question is noted, but I don't have the answer. The only way is decongestion, because we keep on improving Metro Manila, we keep on inviting people to come, but where will we get the utilities? The basic. Anyway, siguro next year, magkita tayo ulit. By election na, hindi tayo magkikita. After election, we should all be here. Kasi baka hindi pa ako mapalitan nun eh, di ba? Matagal pa yun. After the oath taking pa yun, July 30, no? June 30. Okay. Tapos mag-iisip pa yun, di ba? Kung yung tubig kasi hindi priority eh, di ba? Unahin muna hindi pinabalik, DOF, DOE, baka mamaya makalusot pa tayo, di ba? Yun. So, Boss Daniel. Thank you.
Actually, sir, si Sir Daniel is nagko-cover sa Congress, Sir Daniel? Nagko-cover ka rin sa Congress. Okay.
Well, pinasan nila yung Bayanihan 3. Dahil certified urgent yung president, di ba?
Hindi na certified as urgent, sir. Hindi po umabot.
Pero pinasan ng Congress.
Sa House pa lang po.
O
Sa
House.
Senate hindi.
Sa Senate hindi pa, nagkakagulo pa sila doon. Kasi walang pera. ang amin kasi, ito outside na lang to, ang amin kasi nung panahon ni GMA, nung kami, if you want to pass a bill, make sure you have included where to get the money. You cannot pass a bill and then demanding that the present budget fund your bill. Katulad na yun. The Bayanihan 3 is not included in the budget. So how can you fund it?
Walang budget certification, sir.
Wala. So saan kukunin ng 401 billion? Oh,
SWD.
They had kind of a
actually,
May natira pa doon.
sketchy explanation of where that was going to come
kami,
from.
all GOCCs contributed to Bayanihan 1 and 2. LWUA contributed 608 million at kanya na wala namin na pera. All unobligated. Sige mo, all unobligated. So wala ka nang marurol.
Okay? Thank you very much, Administrator Jeci Lapus. And thank you sa ating mga media friends. Sa uulitin.
Lahat ng mga